Lord, Lord, don't do this, I beg you. Don't do this.
Noah, the wickedness of man is great on earth. I want to wipe off the face of the earth the man that I have created, along with the beasts, the reptiles, and the birds.
Tolerated genocide, sex with fallen angels, earth covered in water for 7 days, and a bird in the end. Yes, we are talking about the flood myth, the first chapter of the Bible. Historians would say this narrative was inspired by old Sumerian flood tales and human experience with devastating historical floods caused by earthquakes or even, maybe in some cases, comets. But even with no scientific evidence for a world flood, this myth is seen as literal from Christians like Ken Ham and Kent Hovind, self-named creationists who also believe the Earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Let's dive into why they think this should be educational. Sunday school here, I tend to talk about fundamentalism and conservative talking points, so you don't have to. The biblical flood narrative follows a God who is about to wipe off all of humanity due to people of the world being divulged into sin. Some of that sin was gluttony, some of it was about fallen angels having sex with women. He picked a dude and his family to construct a huge wooden boat to accommodate him, his family, one male, one female, of every single animal in the world, except for fish. The first time I read this story, I was about 5 and didn't fully realize that it was a tale about the whole of humanity being wiped out. The women, the children, their damn pets. I thought that it was the parish people's fault that they drowned. In the story I was reading, which was made for kids, by the way, they made fun of Noah for building such a large boat on land. But sure enough, the flood came, killed out the heathens, and after 7 days, waters receded, and Noah knew the carnage was done after a dove returned with an olive branch, ending the story in peace. This narrative is almost a carbon copy of many older creation stories. Many describe a vengeful god and hero designated to survive the flood. Even as a folk story, I keep going back to what makes it okay for a moral, all-powerful being to kill a large group of people. In this regard, is it justified to have atrocities in the modern century? This is already traumatizing for some who see as literal, but even the symbolic gesture, the story justifies genocide. Even God himself said it was a mistake. Now I want to talk about Christian nationalism, the movement which believes that the separation of church and state should be abolished. In this group, many believe their political upbringing justifies liberals, queers, and socialists to die by fire or drowning. Even in modern times, many preachers deny climate change, but claim catastrophic floods are happening because people are doing the shinin'.
Yes, indeed, these are judgments. The judgments came about because of man's sin, and then God taking man's sin and saying that the whole creation is going to be cursed. That doesn't mean that God has abdicated his role in the world. It just means that we are experiencing the curse.
Many parents who distrust the scientific community and public school indoctrination homeschool their children to teach biblical literature as literal. Creationists have even funded a curriculum teaching children Earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old. So let's go back to what I was talking about at the start of this video about creationists, one of them being Kent Ham. Kent Ham's museum opened in 2007 and added the Ark Encounter in 2016. Kent Ham stated his mission was to expose the bankruptcy of evolutionary ideas. Built with steel and modern construction, the Ark Encounter ignores all attempts at objectivity and basic science, throwing visitors into a mind-numbing, uneducated experience, showing humans living with prehistoric dinosaurs. Along with false claims, the Ark Encounter and Creation Museum promotes fundamentalist political doctrine, including anti-abortion and anti-queer talking points. Let's quickly talk about another creationist, Kent Hovind. His blatant lies about the scientific community are almost comedic.
Whack an Atheist Wednesday is a fun game we play here at Dinosaur Adventureland. It's based on the Whack-A-Mole game. Did you guys get that thing ready where different atheists can pop their head up? You're working on animation. If you're good at doing animations, call 855 Big Dino extension 4. Say, Joe, I want to help do the animation. And we'll name the different atheists. Let them stick their head up and whack them back down with real science.
Hovind tends to bully atheists and use violent language in his response videos to his skeptics. Hovind's distrust of basic science fuels his conspiracies of the scientific community. He thinks all forms of science and education are blocking the biblical flood narrative. Other creationists who think of themselves as geologists claim that million-year-old landscapes are actually just 1,000 years old and created during, of course, the world flood.
That erosion surface that marks the beginning of the flood. There we can see it. That's the view from the south rim of the Grand Canyon. That little cliff at the bottom there sitting on top of an erosion surface. Let's look at it a little bit more closely. We can study its characteristics. You know what? We can trace that sandstone in outcrop and in drill holes all the way across North America, across to Greenland. You can go to Chippewa Falls in Wisconsin, and you can see exactly the same sandstone with exactly the same features, sitting on exactly the same erosion surface, sitting on the same crystalline basement. You can see it on a road cut in Missouri as well, in between. The same sandstone can be traced right across North Africa, right over to southern Israel, at Timnah. You've got the same sandstone with the same fossils, the same features, with the same erosion surface sitting on the same crystalline basement.
The intention of the biblical world flood narrative is hate and the tolerance for genocide. If people live a different life than you, then they all too, deserve to drown. The world is full of sin, and that sin, along with the people, needs to be destroyed. It's no surprise that most, if not all, fundamentalists expect a wrathful God to come back one day and perform the same destruction, only with fire. In conclusion, let's treat the world flood myth as an oral narrative stolen from other communities that came before it. So what do you think? Leave your comment below, like, and subscribe. Peace.